we decided to go with bypass surgery. Those were the words I heard from my cardiologist. In this video, I want to talk about day 7 and day 8 of my hospital stay. Day 8 I call B day, which is bypass day. So after hearing those words Monday morning of day 7, that I'm going to have bypass surgery, my anxiety levels and my fear level immediately shot through the roof. First thing I thought of was my mom, who 42 years ago passed away on the operating table during bypass surgery. I couldn't help but not think of that. And I made a comment to my wife about it, and she told me right away, do not go there. She said that was over 40 years ago. Things are so different now. So her and I prayed, and she reminded me of my verses to repeat over and over, which were, the Lord is with me, I will not be afraid. And when I'm afraid, I put my trust in you. So I did that along with a bunch of Our Fathers and other things, and it didn't take too long for my anxiety level to come down, and I started to relax. That day also, I had visitors coming. It was early afternoon, I believe. A friend of mine that I worked with for close to 30 years and retired about the same time I did came to see me. So that was great because we talked about old memories, old times, and we also talked about how crazy it is, how fast time went by. I also remember when he left, I gave him a big hug and I kissed him on the cheek and told him I love him, which I've never done that before, but that's where my emotions were. Later on in the day, we had dear friends of ours that are also part of our Bible group come to see us. And a lot of laughter there and not even thinking about my situation there. It was awesome. And the person there, gave me out of his wallet verses that he said when he was in the hospital going through surgery. So that was awesome. Also, they prayed over me. Now, before I was ever in the hospital, I don't know if I've ever had anybody pray over me, but it was multiple times a day now. And every time it happened, it just felt so great. So that evening, Pat and I said how relaxed we were and how good we felt. And we knew it was from all the prayers people have been saying. And Pat described it as kind of like a cloud of love all around us. And it was neat. We both felt that, and we felt it so strongly. And all I could think of is Philippians 4:6-7, where it tells you, do not worry, but pray. And there's a part in there that says, then you'll receive God's peace that's beyond all of our understanding. And that's what Pat felt. That's what I felt that night. We both had a great night's sleep. That morning, we both still felt that. Pat actually got up and said, oh, it's going to be a good day. And she was excited to, let's get this done. And it was nice to feel this. And even now, it's hard for us to even explain it, but what a great feeling. The hardest part for me today, on this day, what I'll call bypass day, was saying goodbye to my family, saying goodbye to my wife as they rolled me off. But even the intern that rolled me away said something to me about that I seemed so calm, which I thought, wow, I really am. I remember them rolling me into the operating room, and I remember looking around and thinking, holy moly, this room is huge. And then I also thought, dude, there's a lot of people in here too. It was crazy. So they rolled me to the operating table and they said I have to help scoot over. So they did that. They got me onto the operating table. And my last memory was I saw like a monitor on top of me and it was showing my face. It actually made me almost laugh a little bit. It just seemed kind of humorous to see my face. It looked huge on that. But that's the last thing I remember. There was no countdown. There was no mask put on my face. I was just out. Now my family's in the waiting room, and I've been in that situation too, and I know how difficult that is to wait like that. I always say it's easier on the person that's going under the knife and being put out than it is for family waiting those hours to hear what's going to happen. So an interesting thing about that, and I don't know if it was a good thing or not, but I Googled how to text somebody but not have the text arrive till the next day. So I sent all my family a text message to not arrive till the day after my surgery. I'm guessing probably because in case I didn't make it. And the messages weren't anything like that. Well, if I'm not here, they were basically just to tell everybody how much I loved them and how much they meant to me. And my daughter, sitting in the waiting room, had my phone and was going through my phone and made a comment like, "Oh, Dad, it's some messages here that he didn't send out." So she read the messages while I was in my surgery. So again, I don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing, but thank God it all turned out well. I don't remember anything much other than I know my wife told me this was the first night she couldn't stay there. She had to leave. But they got to see me. They got to hear that the surgery went well. They saw me in the room. I was still out of it, but I think somebody said something and I squeezed their hand. So they all had to leave. My next memory was waking up at some point and thinking, "Oh wow, I'm alive." I had that breathing tube in me, and it's one I freaked out when I first came in the hospital a week ago, but this time I relaxed on the breathing tube. And I remember there was a nurse there holding my hand, and I remember looking into her face and thinking, "God, I'm so glad I'm here. I'm so glad I'm here." So that was a good feeling. Thanks for watching my journey. Like and subscribe for more as I'll go on the next couple of days of my hospital stay a little later. So once again, thank you. And as always, God bless.